Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This committee of the whole meeting is called to order at 4:01. Council would like to acknowledge the Ucluelet on whose traditional territories the District of Ucluelet operates. Audience members and delegates are advised that this proceeding is being video recorded and broadcast on YouTube and Zoom, which may store data on foreign servers. There are no late items, but I do have a couple of quick announcements that I thought I would make at the beginning of the meeting because this is not a regular council meeting, so there's no mayor's announcements on the agenda at the end. Remembrance Day ceremonies are taking place in Ucluelet on Monday, November 11th at 11 o'clock at the Army, Navy, Air Force. And it's a great way to commemorate that day, so come on out and cross your fingers for the weather. And the District of Ucluelet Resort Development Strategy 2025 to 2027 open house is going to be held on November the 13th, which is Wednesday, at the Community Centre from 5 till 7. We're looking for members of the community to provide feedback on potential tourism projects that will be funded through the Resort Municipality Initiative. Our new 2025 to 2027 resort development strategy will outline the District of Ucluelet's long-term vision for the community and outlines the plans and projects the municipality will undertake to achieve the objectives of the program. We're also looking for an alternate director on the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust Board. One position is available, and that can be located at on the website under ucluelet.ca/careers if anybody's interested. All right, since we have 18 presentations today from local community groups, I move that Section 18.3 of the Council Procedure Bylaw be suspended for the duration of this Committee of the Whole meeting to allow 18 delegations at this meeting rather than 2. Could I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Anderson seconds. All in favour? None opposed. That carries. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Councillor Anderson.
Second.
Councillor Kennington, all in favour? None opposed, that carries. We have one report item on our agenda. 4.1 Grants in Aid and In-Kind Contributions is a verbal report presented by the Director of Community Services, Ms. Fortune. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd like to run over a couple of the municipal policies regarding the grants and aid, just make sure everyone's on the same page and everybody knows dates, so get ready to write those dates down. All right, so the District of Ucluelet provides grants and aid to financially assist community groups, not-for-profit societies, and organizations for a specific project. Council also provides in-kind contributions toward rentals and lease of facilities. So I would like to add that if you have any requirements for facility, let us know. And also check dates, please, please, please. Funding decisions will be made on a year-to-year basis and continuous support should not be anticipated. So just some of the criteria, I won't go over it all, but some of the criteria is not-for-profit organizations operating within the District of Ucluelet. And projects must be completed within 12 months of receiving funding. And preference will be given to organizations based in Ucluelet, providing a social service to Ucluelet residents where no overlapping services already exist. So that's just some of the criteria. Some of the ineligible, sorry, say that 5 times real fast, is sports organizations, commercial organizations, proposals from individuals, and proposals that you have not had completed from the year prior. So the applications are available online, and should you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself. The date for applications is due December 15th, so that's the big date to write down. And once we receive the applications, we review the applications prior to February 28th, just so you're aware that date. At this meeting, applicants will be permitted 5 minutes to present to council supporting their application. So that's around February 28th. We'll get the exact date to you when the time comes. At a subsequent meeting, council will make the final decision of the application, and grant financial payments will be made prior to March 31st of 2025 if you're applying for that year. Final reports must be submitted prior to February 28th. And if possible, our preference would be if you could submit them with your application on December 15th. So again, should you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and I can help and get you going. All the applications are available online. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Fortune. In this report, I see that it lists what each application should include. There's
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. Is
Yep.
that part of the application form?
Yes, it is.
It tells everybody that.
Yes.
Perfect. Any questions for Ms. Fortune? No, that's great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we have 18 delegations who have confirmed that they will be presenting, and I believe there was one last minute one as well. Ms. Owen? There's one last minute one as well. Each group representative will have 5 minutes to present, and members of council may ask questions at the end of each presentation. The first delegation is from the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District, and the representative will present by Zoom. And that is Miss Jody Frank, I believe.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Just give me one quick second. And okay. Perfect.
The floor is yours.
All right. And you are seeing my slide on your end? Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
we are.
All right, great. So hello, good afternoon. My name is Jody Frank. I'm the Solid Waste Project Coordinator and Project Lead for the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Solid Waste Management Plan. I just want to take a quick moment to acknowledge that the subject matter of the presentation represents the communities of the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District, which are located on the traditional territories of the Nuu-Chulnjuth people. We respectfully acknowledge these traditional territories, and we are thankful for the opportunity to live, work, and learn here. With mutual respect, Isak, and appreciation, Clayoquot, Clayoquot. All right, so the presentation I put together today is around the ACRD Solid Waste Management Plan. And so my intention of the presentation today is to really provide you some information on what a solid waste management plan is, provide some background, and highlight some of the work that's been completed to date. I also want to take you through the draft strategies and actions, including the proposed goals and targets, and provide you some more information on what you can expect for next steps. So with that being said, the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District is working to update our solid waste management plan. This will be a roadmap and long-term plan that outlines how waste will be reduced and materials managed throughout the region. This plan includes municipalities, electoral areas, and First Nation communities. So solid waste management plans are required by all regional districts in British Columbia. They're submitted to the Ministry of Environment, and they're regulated through the Environmental Management Act. So the process is set out by the province, and it outlines specific criteria that a regional district must make and undertake to achieve the plan's requirements. So like I mentioned, the purpose of the solid waste management plan is to really outline the future programs and infrastructure that we need to reduce the amount of waste that is sent to landfill, and to help optimize our solid waste systems efficiencies and to manage costs over time. So we started the solid waste management plan last year, back in 2023, there, like I mentioned, with the ministry, there's a specific set of guidelines, and there's 4 steps that we must undertake in order to meet all the criteria. So like I mentioned, we started in 2023. As part of this initial step, we informed the ministry that we were undertaking the planning process. And from there, we recruited members for our solid waste management plan advisory committee. This group of individuals are made up from various communities throughout the ACRD, so from electoral areas, from remote, rural First Nations, from the business sector, from the education sector. We really have a great, well-rounded group of individuals providing insight and perspective from their communities on where there are gaps and opportunities for solid waste as we look for forward to the next 10 years. So public engagement started back in 2023 as well. So we went out to the public and asked what the top priorities were for residents when it came to what they wanted our priority areas and focus to be on. And that was done through a public survey. And through that piece, we moved on to step 2, which is setting the plan direction. And some of those steps included developing things like guiding principles, which I'll get into in a couple of slides. This really acts as a guiding North Star, and the guiding principles really help inform how we make decisions. Other key outputs of step 2 were around setting goals and targets of the plan and developing a long list of potential options that have turned into our proposed plan strategies. So at the moment, we are currently in step 3, which is evaluating our options, which means that we are doing public engagement again on the 8 proposed strategies. So we've been actively consulting the public over the last few weeks. So starting back in October, time is flying on me now. But we opened up with a public survey, and we've been doing open houses to try and gauge public feedback on the 8 strategies that I'm going to go over shortly. After this phase 2 of public engagement ends, the feedback will be summarized and we'll report back to our advisory committee, and then look at what feedback we need to incorporate back into the plan. From there, we will go back out to the public with our draft plan for another round of feedback. And then from there, it's taken to our board. And then from there, we submit it to the Ministry for the Environment. And then step 4 is really around the adopting the plan. And then we move on to implementation. Key milestones, like I mentioned, guiding principles, goals and target, engagement, and our draft strategies. When we look at our guiding principles, these are really meaningful piece of work that were developed by the advisory committee. The guiding principles, like I mentioned, really help us inform how we make decisions. And we have taken the guiding principles from the New Chalnu Sacred Principles. And this really helps us address respect, taking care of, and recognizing that everything is one for the people and the land. So the first guiding principle is around ISAC, which is, oh, sorry, I just skipped. Utmost respect. And this is around the personal and collective respect for the community and its people, the traditional knowledge and the natural world, the metaphysical world, and other peoples and communities. The second guiding principles are around Uasak, which is taking care of. And in this context, we talk about taking care of present and future generations, as well as taking care of the self and the resources provided by the land and the natural world. When we look at the third principle, Ishsawak, everything is one. This is the notion of the interconnectedness, interdependence, and reciprocal relationships between the people, the land, and the wider world in a physical, spiritual, and social sense. So moving on to the goals and targets, these really support our guiding principles and help us measure the plan's success. So when we look at our 4 goals, they're around social equity and local economy. So we really aim to provide inclusive, equitable, and accessible opportunities and access to solid waste systems and programs that support our local economy through social procurement. Second goal is around environmental, and that is just avoiding impacts from solid waste that could impact our environment on a long-term basis. 3 is around education and creating effective and accessible education to all audience types to help promote waste reduction and diversion services and programs. And then 5 is around economic factors. So just making financially responsible decisions, using waste reduction and diversion initiatives to offset more costly disposal systems over time. All right. So moving on to our targets. So we do have a target of moving our waste generation per person per year per capita. Right now we're sitting at about 545 kgs per person. We really want to see that target move to 350. And by using the strategies that I'm going to go over in a second, those strategies are really going to help us achieve this target. So when we look at our other BC communities, the orange line there is telling us sort of how we track against our other BC regional districts. So that number, the kg per person per year, is calculated by taking the total amount disposed as garbage and dividing it by the region's population. So the total amount is not just your residential garbage that you set out at the curb, but it also is factoring into things like IC&I, so commercial waste, institutional waste, which are schools, hospitals, and then C&D sectors. So all of that combined divided by our region's population. This slide is really just telling us what's going where when we look at waste going to landfill. And so just to give you some further context, this is a regional-wide solid waste management plan. So we have 2 landfills under the regional district. We have one on the west coast, which you are probably more familiar with, and then the AV landfill. So this graph here is a combined figure of both landfills. So there's approximately about 30,000 tons going to landfill. The lower section there showing you what's currently being diverted through the residential program, Sort and Go. And the top section there is what is currently going to landfill and being landfill. And a large majority of these items could be diverted, like construction and demolition waste. So how do we get that top section? Well, we have come up with the advisory committee and a lot of groundwork on identifying our gaps and opportunities, and with the foundations of the guiding principles and the goals and targets, and looking at those public priorities from our first phase of public consultation, and identifying waste streams, like I mentioned, where gaps and opportunity exist. So we've come up with 8 draft strategies, and quickly I'll run through them. Education, resource recovery centers, business zero waste programs, organics management infrastructure and operations for remote and Indigenous communities, multi-stream diversion programs, reduction and reuse programs for C&D waste, and then other material and product end-of-life management. And then 8 is around residual management. So quickly, I will run through the concepts behind each strategy. Strategy 1 is around education. This is a fundamental strategy across the rest of our strategies. So without a strong education and behavior change program, strategies 2 through to 8 cannot be achieved. When we look at resource recovery centers, especially for the West Coast, the strategy looks at establishing infrastructure and services around reuse. So looking at something for the West Coast that really promotes better access to Recycle BC depots. So those materials that don't go in your curbside, providing better opportunities for those services, as well as reuse. Looking at concepts like what Quathit has done and Whistler, when we look at the high volumes of tourists and seasonal employees, being able to promote reuse is a really big priority for this strategy and for this space. And it also looks at supporting eco depots for our Indigenous communities. So that concept on a smaller scale, as well as Banfield and Salmon Beach in our remote communities, providing better access to recycling diversion. Develop zero waste business programs. So 60% of waste going to landfill is currently coming from various business and institution facilities. So looking at different programs on how we can help tackle some of the divertible materials from these streams. Strategy 4 looks at, again, our remote and Indigenous communities. 33% of residential garbage can be composted and is food waste. So providing opportunities in our remote and Indigenous communities where food waste, organics can be processed and then used for things like demonstration gardens, community gardens, and processed on site. Number 5 is around multi-stream diversion programs. So 20% of the remaining single-family households within the ACRD do not have the Sort and Go program. So it looks at providing a solution for those homes as well as apartment buildings. So multi-family residents, outdoor public spaces, parks, beaches, and then also event diversion. So looking at events that are coming to our communities and how when they're coming, they can provide some guidance on how they're going to divert various materials instead of it all just going to the landfill. Number 6 is around construction and demolition waste. So approximately 35% of waste coming from that business sector, that 60%, 35% of that is from our C&D. So that's the built environment, that's demoing houses and building new houses. There's a lot of waste that goes into that, and we're looking at different policies and reuse options for the C&D sector. And then 7 is around other material and product end of life. So anything not in an EPR program. So when we look at EPR, that's batteries, that's paint, when you go and take them to various facilities and the disposal is covered. We're looking at other programs not covered through those mechanisms like hazardous waste, and looking at things like agriculture waste as well, and how we can help support those programs and diversion opportunities. And the last strategy, number 8, is around residual management. And this really focuses on our landfill management. So capital projects, making sure that our landfills are equipped with all of the mechanisms they need to operate safely and up to regulation and compliance. So this just really speaks to securing long-term disposal options and then those capital projects that keep the landfills around as long as possible. So we have started our public engagement processes. We have been to UQLIT and Tofino. We've engaged with both the business and residential sectors. We are doing engagement within our electoral areas here in the Alberni Valley in the next few days. And we have a survey posted that really asks for feedback on the strategies. That is available through Let's Connect, acrd.ca/SWMP. So we encourage all residents to help fill out the survey, support or provide feedback on the strategies. Let us know what we potentially have missed and what might not work for your community, and different perspectives that it's important for us to know. So that is a little bit about how to share your feedback. And then next steps, like I mentioned, after this engagement period, we'll summarize the feedback, report back to our advisory committee, incorporate any changes that need to be made into our draft plan, allow public feedback one more time on that draft plan, and then go through the finalization process and submit it to the ministry. So thank you so much for your time. I hope I covered all the things I needed to, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Jody. I attended the open house here at the community center, as you know, and I thought it was really, really well laid out and presented, and you had enough staff there to walk people through the 8 boards. So yeah, I was really impressed with the open house you had here. Any questions for Ms. Frank? Councillor Anderson?
Thank you very much, Ms. Frank, for that, the backgrounder. I just had everything looked good to me. My question was, have you ever seen anything through the ministry about solid waste and pyrolysis at all?
Sorry, it won't let me turn my video on, so which is why you're just speaking to my name. Like you're talking about included in a strategy?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's ever been any provincial push. I don't know if they maybe not the ACRD. I think Nanaimo's looked into it. It was with burning solid waste using pyrolysis as heat generation.
Not that I'm aware of, because that's not the direction we are moving in. So I'm sure that there have been other regional districts that have explored that. I know out east that is something like, I believe in Nova Scotia, that they are experimenting with. But as we look at life of our landfills, I do know that in British Columbia, I was just attending a conference, that the average landfill lifespan is on average about 30 years. That's what most BC landfills have left. So although it's not the focus of this plan, it is, it is a strategy that some places are using. And yeah, that's all I can say about that. Not something that we're looking at for this particular plan. We're not there yet. Our landfills have more than 30 years, which we're fortunate to have. But I do know that those facilities are a huge expense. And so our first approach is just extending the life of the landfills that we do have here under the regional district's umbrella. Yeah, and then possibly exploring something like that down the road.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
And are there options already designated for future locations of landfills once these two are at end of life?
So we have not done a landfill siting study as of yet. For the Alberni Valley, we are looking at, we don't have a long-term agreement for that particular landfill. So there is talks about doing siting studies, but we are on an island. They are very, very expensive to just create another landfill. So, I mean, it's something we can explore and will be, but for the most part, areas like Quathet, they reached capacity not too long ago, and they're actually shipping their waste to the States. So landfills, yeah, for the cost of what they are to make, right now the most economic solution is to ship waste to other landfills that have the space.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation, and we'll look forward to your further open houses.
Thank you so much.
All right, the next community group is the Alberni Clayoquot Health Network, and that is Marcy DeWitt presenting by Zoom, I believe.
Ms. DeWitt or anyone else from the Albany Clayoquot Health Network, if you are on Zoom, please raise your hand. I don't believe the representative was able to make it.
Okay, and she was up next for the West Coast Inland Search and Rescue as well, so we'll put those two on hold and maybe she'll come on a little bit later.
Correct.
The next community group is the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you, Mayor McEwen. Okay, it's working. My name is Rebecca Hurwitz. I'm the Executive Director of the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust, and I'm delighted to share this update on behalf of our team. First off, I wanted to thank Sarah Evelina, who is the representative appointed to the CBT board on behalf of Ucluelet. And as the mayor mentioned, we're also recruiting for an alternate director right now, and we're hoping to find a youth to participate on the CBT board. So if folks in the audience know of anyone age 18 to 25 who might be involved with some community work already, we would love to support them to get more involved with the CBT. A couple of our focuses to share. The first is regional climate planning. The CBT has been exploring the area of the scope of regional climate planning and action planning to advance the work of local governments and nations and connect it at a regional scale. We're still in the planning stages, but the goals include helping to access funding, helping address staff capacity issues, helping to reduce administrative burden, and Colin will be presenting to Council at the December 10th Council meeting, so you'll hear more from him about that then. In the area of biodiversity conservation, there is a lot going on. We recently held a third regional forum, and about 40 or 50 people attended, including Bruce and Annalisa from the planning department. So a big thank you to them for participating. That brings together organizations with a stewardship and conservation focus, and has been great for just seeding more partnerships and bringing more resources together. CBT is also working to support municipalities in biodiversity inclusive spatial planning. We are planning a workshop this winter to support wetland delineation terms of reference that are specific to the West Coast. We're also supporting partners to expand on existing wildlife corridor maps to create a regional map, and connecting local governments that are working on natural asset management planning. So lots of work with the planning department. The Biosphere Centre is rolling right along. We're aiming to start construction in spring 2025, but still working on our fundraising campaign, and especially connecting with the provincial government now that the election is at the stage it's at. We're focused on developing the interpretive displays and the visual art program, as well as the final design for the teaching kitchen. The regional living wage will be published in December, so we're just in the final process of collecting data on the local monthly rent, housing, transportation, health, all of those kinds of costs that go into the calculation, and Colin's working on that if you have any questions. And then a few upcoming events to share. November 13th to 15th will be the 7th annual Fiber Art Retreat. The event is held at Blackrock, and this year we'll have 2 cohorts of learning. It's a midweek, off-season education tourism event meant to build out the education tourism economy. And on November 14th, there will be a marketplace, so any knitters in the crowd or fiber artists might want to come out and just get a glimpse of what that retreat looks like. On November 18th, we're holding a vital conversation on community sexual assault response strategies, and we're co-hosting this event with WCRS. Attendees will learn about the current education, prevention, and response programs, and explore ways to reduce the frequency and severity of incidents by building on a collaborative strengths and supports. The goal is to empower community members to help us shift from a culture that facilitates sexual violence and shame and secrecy to a culture of consent that fosters respect and dignity. And lastly, we're looking forward to hosting the Leadership Vancouver Island Day coming up in Ucluelet on November 29th. Abby's been on the board of Leadership Vancouver Island since the beginning and is involved in that. And I think there's one DOU staff person that's participating this year, Candace Bone. So those students are beginning their community leadership projects, and we hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. I received the minutes, I guess you'd call it, from your biodiversity forum, and it was a really interesting read, all the reports from all the people that attended that forum. So yeah, thank you for including me in that mailing list. And I happen to be an LVI alumni myself, so I would love to pop in on the 29th. That's here at the community center. Perfect. Great. Any other questions for Rebecca? No. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Next up is the Ucluelet Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Josh.
Hello, thanks for having me today. Just to give you a quick rundown on things we have been working on and are working on for the future. So the Economic Development Committee that we have put together is well on its way setting up initiatives and starting the framework for data collection and resiliency monitoring. We have an excellent team put together, and we will be able to make a lot of positive impacts on the community over the coming years with that work that we're doing in that. We're focusing a lot on efforts for workforce development and economic diversification for Ucluelet and the region. And we'll be giving more updates as we get more things on the go with that. We have Midnight Madness coming up at the end of November, November 29th. That's a Friday in the evening. A lot of the specials go all weekend, but so this is an important support local campaign and a really fun way to do your holiday shopping. This year we're teaming up with the District of Ucluelet as a primary sponsor and partner to bolster the event and increase the positive impacts on the local businesses. We're going to be increasing advertising and promotions for the event this year and asking for support from the community as a whole to help spread the word and promote this important event for the local economy. It's also important for all the businesses that are struggling in the off season to have as much income as possible in the off season. We're also teaming up with Tourism Ucluelet to offer experiences to purchase as an option for gifting this year. And a selection of these will be added to the prize pool, which will be significant. We're going to have a lot of prizes this year. We really want to incentivize people to get out and circulate money through the local economy. And what better way to do that than a really juicy prize pool? So this will be requiring purchases for people to gain entry into the draw. And any of the participating locations, every $50 you spend, you'll get another your name in the draw, and including the experiences. We also hopefully get lots of people out for Midnight Madness and hear word getting around the community. And then this year we're also doing we're doing a business supports roadshow. That's on Wednesday, November 20th. That one will be teaming up with the Tofino Chamber. It's a great collection of supports for businesses and organizations. So JEDI, which is the Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation. I always forget that one. It's Community Futures, Export Navigator, Small Business BC, Work BC, and potentially more support organizations will be giving presentations on their services, workshops, skills training programs, grants, etc. And then they will be available for questions and inquiries by participants. So the Tofino event will be noon to 2 p.m. at Tin Wis with lunch included. You need to register for that. It is free though. And Ucluelet event will be at the Ucluelet Brewing Company. It starts at 4 p.m. with a networking mixer to follow. And that's free as well. You don't need to register for that. But please show up for 4 because that's when the presentations are if you can.
And what's the date of that again, Josh?
November 20th, the Wednesday. Yeah. And yeah, so they're all free. All these are free. We're hoping for great turnouts as there are so many supports available, and these can make a big difference in the sustainability and overall success of businesses and organizations. So please come take part and spread the word on that one as well. So we had Edge to Edge Marathon just finished. Was a great success. We got really positive feedback. Ran like more smoothly than last year. No major issues at all. We had 700 registrants and 540 participants. So, and then with the people that come with those participants, we're looking at least 1,000 to 1,200 extra people coming into our town in fringe season that isn't particularly busy all the time. The weather was a significant issue. The old atmospheric river was a real pain in the butt on that one, but fortunately we still had a road for people to get in after a shutdown for a bit there, and it did cause some people to not make the trip across, but we still had good solid participation regardless of some people not coming. And we are starting to work on the process for bringing back the full marathon for 2025. And we'll be working with the Tofino Chamber, partnering on that then. And this event though is another great partnership for with the District of Ucluelet, in particular the Parks and Recreation Department, who was a huge part on making that a success, along with the volunteers, because we can't do that without the volunteers. It's a major volunteer load, that one, that we need to get together with all the traffic controls and everything. We're also working on a visitor experience guide with Tourism Ucluelet, with support from the District of Ucluelet again on that. We'll be developing an extensive guide of restaurants, coffee shops, gift shops, excursions, and other visitor services. As well, we'll highlight certain businesses, supply useful visitor information, relay specials, promotions, or sales, and so forth. We'll be having flyers to be able to put in vacation rentals and other accommodations, and posters in popular locations and all those will have a QR code that directs people to a splash page for online visitor experience guide. This will mean we can get these flyers and posters out once and they will stay relevant indefinitely. So good way to not be having to print new things every year. A little bit more environmentally friendly. This will be an excellent way and really to relay important information to visitors, bring more customers to our local businesses, and coordinate the efforts of businesses, supply accommodation providers with readily available information sources to share with their clients, and greatly enhance the visitor experience, which will also help with the sustainability of our tourism. We also are going to be continuing our work with Rain Coast Education Society on the West Coast Ambassador Program. So this soon here, we're going to be getting together with the Tofino and Ucluelet Chambers and Tourism to look at ways to expand the program over the next couple of years, and also to increase participation for this important program, including extra promotions and advertising and creative ways to get businesses and organizations to engage in the process and have their staff participate. And so participation was pretty weak this year, particularly in Ucluelet. I think 80% of the people that took the programs in Ucluelet were all from Pacific Rim National Park. So we didn't have very good engagement in Ucluelet. So we really want to try to find ways to get more people taking it. It's a really good way to enhance the visitor experience, and also a great way for just locals in general to take, as you can learn so much about your community and the environment around it. And a reminder to the community as a whole that these classes are open to everyone and are completely free. So you don't even have to be part of a business or an organization to do these. Everybody can do them. And they're really great. Usually they're in the spring, but we're looking to spread the season out a little bit more. So we have other stuff on the go, but that's sort of, I'll seal it up there if you have any questions.
Thanks, Josh. I've heard that the Van Al 360 is coming back this coming year.
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah, which is great, yeah. They were questioning whether they were going to do it this year, but it is happening, so.
That's great. And that's in June, is that right?
Yes, I don't have the date offhand, but I think it's like the 10th or something around there, like early June.
Early June.
Yeah,
Right.
which is good, a little bit before the busy season.
Right.
And hopefully we'll have a highway open this time.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, the timing was pretty ironic that we had a major event in Ucluelet, but everybody could still come because they were coming by boat. That was only
That's right. Any questions from council to Josh? No, I don't see anything.
On November 20th, is that, it's at 4 p.m. at the brewery, is that right?
At the brewery, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. I think we might have do we have a meeting on that one? Do we have, no? Isn't that what we just scheduled?
Yeah, but we just switched to the 20th.
For strategic planning?
Right.
Oh.
We might have to relook at that.
Boo, yeah. This is another reason why you should have a community calendar that everybody uses.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we're
Yeah.
working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Just leave this on. I guess things.
Yeah. Maybe, Miss Owen, we can look to see if Marcy DeWitt is on. Yeah.
Sorry, Marcy is not.
Okay. The next community group is the Ucluelet Aquarium Society. Welcome, Laura.
Hello, everyone. So, whenever I start these things, there's like what I'm really passionate about and then what I feel like you guys probably want to hear about. But I'm going to start what I'm really excited about. One of our grunt sculpins is pregnant. And and if you are somebody that doesn't know what a grunt sculpin is, get thyself to the aquarium. So we're starting to wrap out, or wrap down for wrap up. Okay. Sorry. Wrap up. Yep. For the season. It's been very busy, hence the brain fog. So if for those who are familiar with the original building and what our goal was when we built the new facility, we were seeing about 17 or 18,000 visitors a year. And we are going to surpass 50,000 visitors this year. So our team has been working very hard. And last year we just about passed 45. So this has been a big increase this year. So on November 30th, that will be our last day open to the public. And then December 7th will be our public release day down on the dock. So we hope everybody comes out to help us release the animals that are from the Ucluelet Harbor. During that week, we are going to be having a fundraiser. We're going to call it Release Week. It's mostly going to be online. It will correspond with Giving Tuesday. Because our facility is now more than a decade old, there are some things that we're going to be upgrading in the next couple of years. And so we are going to be fundraising towards those upgrades. And we've also been putting a lot of energy when we've had really successful years like this towards creating a contingency fund. A lot of aquariums were very expensive facilities to run. It's not actually a great idea to have running water flowing through your house. And so that comes with a lot of operational challenges. And our goal, looking at the last few years with the wildfire, with different weather events, is that we will have enough to run if there is something catastrophic that interrupts the summer when the only time that we're actually profitable exists. So those are our big fundraisers. We've had the Heartwood Homeschool Group attending every week. We've been hosting them for learning opportunities, and we hired a new outreach coordinator to work with them, and she's wonderful. We've also continued to be a youth work experience location, and some of our youth volunteers stayed on as staff this summer and are still working with us, which has made it even harder. They're going to university in January, and that's really exciting for them, but really sad for us. We're wrapping up our Storytime program. We've had a new story teller every Friday this season, and we're going to start that up again next year. So some funding allowed us to give an honorarium to storytellers, and somebody new came in every week, and it was really popular. And we also had a donor that contributed towards making seasons passes for the local daycares. So it's been really well attended, and it's been a really lovely program. And I've been selfishly enthusiastic because I get to see my kid every week at work. So some of the, also we wrapped up our Sea Star Wasting Syndrome survey. That's 10 years that we've been doing that survey now, which is really exciting. And we started doing our first Healthy Harbor program outreach events this year. There will be a lot of those coming up in the next year, where we talk about what our Healthy Harbor program is, the research that we've been doing, and we want to hear about about the locations that community members love. So the purpose of this study is to start with a positive assets analysis of the area. We know that people protect what they love best, and it's also much more costly for us to try and bring back something that we've lost than it is to try and invest in protecting something before it's gone. So the purpose of this study is going to be to find out the places that we all value and work at putting protections in place to make sure that whether it's public access, whether it's robust eelgrass beds, whatever it is that we as community members love and want to continue seeing or continue doing, we have the resources to be able to do that. Some challenges: housing and affordability. Always, I'm not the only not-for-profit that experiences this. I think everybody in the room. Those continue to be our biggest hurdles. one of the things that I would really like to see the aquarium become is not just a training ground for wonderful people to come in and put in 3 or 4 years and learn incredible skills and then leave to go to their careers. I would love for the aquarium to be the career move. So they come to Ucluelet, they take this job, and I've been so lucky to do this. They put down roots, have families, invest in their career, invest in the community. And so that's something that we'd really like to work towards over the next couple of years. So building up our ability to pay not just a living wage, but a career wage for somebody that's gone through university and maybe done a master's or an undergrad in biology or biogeography. And then work with the district towards seeing how we can support affordable housing projects so that those that do move here can see a future for themselves. Yeah, that's it.
That's great. Thank you for that. And grunt sculpins have always been one of my favorite things to find when I'm scuba diving. So,
And they're even rounder when they're pregnant.
I'm going to have to pop in and take a look at that one. Thank you. Any questions from council?
I'll just a comment. I've never been to the release day, so I'm really excited to do that this year. I think that'll be great.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to read to the kids this time. By the time I committed to it, it was too late. They were all filled. So hopefully in the new year I can get in on that.
Yes.
Definitely we're that's our dream as well, is to have more research in town, and we've been talking to different organizations like North Island College, and we think that there's some possibilities there. But you and I have talked about this, and we'll talk more about it.
Great. Thanks again for your report. The next community group is Redfish Restoration Society. Welcome, Jen.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. It's a tough act to follow with the sculpin news and so forth. I thought I'd bring a bit of a presentation that we shared at the CBT forum just to show you some of these amazing visuals that we got out in the field this year. I'm going to rely on you, Nancy, to push the slides forward if you don't mind. So as most of you will know, Redfish is a registered charity. We're focused on ecosystem restoration, research, and education. We're coming up on our 30-year anniversary next year that we've worked in this area with permission and in partnership with the Nuu-chah-nulth Nations in their Haudenosaunee and their traditional territories. Together, our mission is to use the best available science, technology, and Indigenous knowledge to restore damaged ecosystems. As Laura was mentioning, it's much more expensive to repair what has been lost, which is what we've been working on for all this time. So if you could move the next slide forward. Yeah, so Barkly, Clayoquot, and Nootka Sounds is where we've done work in the past decade or so. And I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we've worked on sort of this year and put it in context first. So next slide, please. Our leadership, our board of directors includes a representative from each of the 5 nations in this area. You can go ahead and move that forward. The next couple, we've got our vision to nurture healthy and diverse ecosystems that support thriving communities. And the next slide is our mission to inspire an ethic of stewardship through the work that we do in reconnecting people with the environment. And the context of our work is the next couple of slides show why this is so necessary, as historic logging practices left former fish-bearing waterways in dire straits in this area. The left hand is a time release of Tranquil, a portion of Tranquil River in Tloquet territory. You can just see how that impact went from sort of the beginnings of industrial logging in this area until recent times. And you can go ahead and move that forward, and the aftermath being that there's much work to do in the local watersheds. So the Redfish was formerly called Central West Coast Forest Society. It started as a way to employ former forestry workers in restoring some of these impacted ecosystems. And the Redfish's approach is to go from the top of the mountains down to the edge of the watersheds. This again is the Tranquil watershed in Tlaloquit territory. The holistic approach that we take emphasizes each of the nation's goals to restore their traditional territories. And we try to work with chief and councils to prioritize their projects. 3 areas that we work. So first it would be the hill slope restoration at the top of those mountains, where we work to reinforce areas that might have had landslides from logging. You can see some of our crew working on modified brush structures, so using willow to stabilize the slopes. And we've planted in Tlaloquit territory over 550 square meters, 5,500 square meters of 2,500 willow stakes and 40 of these modified brush areas, the layers that you see there on the right. So we've been working this year in Tlaloquit and Heshquit territory on remediating some of those landslides. You can go ahead and push the next slide forward. And the other aspect of work, there's 3 that we do the hillside and now into the forest. So this is in Hauzit territory in the Atleo River area. And forest restoration, the way that works for us is by working the dense second growth by topping, girdling, and cutting trees, limbing all those fallen trees to create woody debris that creates more species habitat. And in the next slide, you can see a sort of before and after, 12 years after. This again is in Hauzit territory. You can see that dense underbrush that has grown up from all those ways that the forest is remediated, and it's creating more viable habitat on the right hand side there. You can go ahead and flip that slide forward. So another way that we remediate forests is through brushing. So we're clearing out fallen trees and we're making way to plant new for more planting. You can see a couple of our crew on the side there. This is in the Upper Kennedy this year, so Tlaloquit territory again. And then the next slide features where we work most often, which is in the river. And I'm highlighting the Tranquil River because this year we completed the installation of 12 woody debris structures. And these are installed along the riverbank in order to mimic old growth and how that would act within the river. The idea being to slow down the flow and make it more hospitable to salmon. That's my version of it. It's much more technical, really. So you can, if you flip to the next slide, you can see there's on the gravel bar there, we've done an extensive planting. On the right-hand side, it shows you that those efforts over time. Again, we're using willow here. That is one of the structures. And if you flip forward again, we'll see some more of, this is just footage that we've gotten in the past couple of years. So this is one of those large woody debris structures being installed. There are now 12 on the Tranquil River. You can see that piles are driven down, and then these are all natural materials. In the past, they've used synthetic rope and cables to do these, but these are fully natural now. And you can start to see some of the fish that we see coming back to the river. And if you flip the slide forward, there's a little bit more of that, and it gives an aerial view of that section of the Tranquil that we saw on the map before. And you'll see the first structure just on the right coming up. Oh, sorry. Yeah, in a minute. It takes a minute. Drone footage. It's great. But there's one on the right, and then we'll see one on the left. Yeah, and it continues up the river. You can see one as well on the right-hand side. That's actually within the river. And you can see all those little fish swimming happily. And the next slide will also show, I believe, there's some happy Chinook. And then there's on the left-hand side a nice before and after of the overview of the Tranquil as well. So please, you can feel free to flip forward one. We were also doing some river restoration in Tokwat territory in Chinatha Creek. And this is trying to get more water into this system. We're not using those giant structures, but smaller hydraulic installed structures. So this is a smaller project, but same idea. And then you can flip forward again. To the Kennedy, Upper Kennedy again. This is Coke Bottle Creek, where we're removing debris and planning for future restoration. And then the next slide, we just wanted to show you an overview of other projects that we're working on in addition to those that habitat restoration. So we're looking at, on the estuary nearshore habitat side, we've started doing kelp monitoring. You can flip forward again there. Thanks, Nancy. They're keeping you busy over there. So kelp restoration and monitoring programs. We started doing monitoring of kelp in the past 3 years. A very important species for climate change, measuring and predictions. We're working with TOQUAT on both the restoration and monitoring programs. We're also doing some ocean monitoring in TOQUAT territory as well. You can flip forward. We always do environmental monitoring for different construction projects. We worked mainly in Tofino this year. You can flip forward again. And as Laura also mentioned, the Seastar, we've amalgamated with Strawberry Isle Marine Research Society. So we're part of that Seastar 10-year survey that just finished, which is giving great data as well. You can flip forward. We've also taken on the Simmers Marine Mammal Response support. So we're working with DFO to provide response support, and we're hoping to include some information actually in the ambassador program so we can get the word out about that. And we're working with all the nations on that, as well as youth programming. These are Chilkoot Warriors helping with kelp monitoring this past year. And as you all are aware, we're looking to develop a little stewardship center in the building that we purchased right beside Pluvio here on the main street in Ucluelet. Right now there's a cute little coffee shop. There's a picture in, I think, the next slide of what the interior looks like right now in case you haven't been in yet. But we've got a little book library, and our outpost store is there, and then also the coffee bar, which has been really fun to have open again. It looks a little bit different than the variety store that was there, but I encourage everyone to come take a look. And we're hoping to develop the stewardship center in the building as well, where offices are located on the top floor of that building. Just applying for grants, and we'll be doing some fundraising as well. You can go ahead and flip forward. Yeah, we just got some rendered drawings here, and that left is our stream table that we have currently in the center. We're looking to develop that interpretive content to make for another indoor tourism space for Ucluelet, which we're really excited about. When the weather is not good, such as this week. Another big event that we're planning is the Watershed Forum, and this is in partnership with Isaac Alam Foundation, that we're bringing together restoration practitioners from all over the island, some from the mainland as well, to share best practices and talk about goals, and really just to try to grow this restoration economy that we are a big part of here on the island. So that's very exciting. End of November, that's taking place just at Tainamera Resort. And that is basically pretty much it for me. And I'm just happy to answer any questions. And thanks for giving us the chance to share our work with you.
Thank you, Jen. It's always a pleasure to hear the projects that you're working on. Any questions from council for Jen about redfish? Yeah, Councillor Anderson.
The kelp project seemed pretty interesting. So it's measuring climate change. Is that right? Is that a federal research program?
No, I'm not, unfortunately, not the scientist on the team, but I'm happy to give you some more information. We are working with TOQUAT. And we got some funding to start. We're also working with OceanWise on this project. They got the bulk of the funding, and they're sort of dispersing it. But we're monitoring kelp in Barkley Sound right now. We're working on a kelp restoration, so seeding kelp as well with the TOQUAT Nation. So it's really emerging in quite a new area, and it's meant to be like an indicator species. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of interest in kelp right now, and we know we have it in abundance. So we're hoping to do more work with Chilkoot in the same vein. But yeah, it's fairly new to us, the last 2 or 3 years that we've been working on this, and yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Oh, excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for your presentation. That was great. Miss Owen, do we have Marcy DeWitt yet?
She just contacted me. She gives her apologies. She ran late with another meeting, and then she's switching over to another meeting that she has to do. So
Oh, so she won't make this one at all?
she won't make this one.
Okay,
unfortunately.
I'll stop asking for her then. The next community group is the Pacific Rim Art Society. Welcome, Kelly.
Hello. Thank you for having us. I wasn't 100% sure whether I was giving a debrief on what we have done or what's happening.
Whichever you prefer.
I'll just give a little rundown of what's happened, which is quite a bit in the past year. Missoula Children's Theater, we always start the year off with, and now we're starting the year off in the gallery with the high school art class. So for the past 3 Januaries, the high school art class comes in and uses the gallery and does a display for the community to see. Battle of the Bands is in January as well. February, the life drawing class does an art show. Life drawing class does life drawing in Ucluelet and Tofino, and we give them the gallery for February so that they can display the works that they've been doing. And then Battle of the Bands finale is also in February. Move on to March is Art Splash, which is our biggest art show of the year. I think most of the community is well aware of that. It's been happening for many years, with many thanks to the Black Rock for giving us the space. We don't hold a show in the Orange Door Gallery in March because of the Art Splash at Black Rock, so we use the gallery then for workshops. Then the rest of the months are mostly different shows at the gallery, usually a collective shows, but we do give opportunities for individual artists or artists to pair up and do individual shows. Recently, Katsumi Komodo and Mary Harvey had a show in October, and the opening for that show was the most well-attended opening reception that we've had in the entire year. We had well over 100 people attend, and they sold over $5,000 worth of art in one night. So that was pretty amazing. A lot of that had to do with Katsumi's footwork. He was out there inviting everybody and getting everybody to show up, and they did, and that was really awesome. We held our first red carpet gala. The Art Society hasn't held a gala for quite a few years. We did our first one in May, and the Art Society is turning 55 this coming year, and we are going to do another gala. We're just kind of working on dates so that we're not overlapping with other societies and other events. Summer Festival, always in July. That's a very well attended. Yuki Days, we've been participating in the Yuki Days parade, and we've been handing out crafts instead of candy. And this year we handed out $500 worth of crafts. We actually managed to make it all the way to Howlers. The first year we didn't even make it to the co-op, and we ran out. And then the second year we made it to the drugstore and ran out. So this year was good. Let's see, the Cultural Heritage Festival, which we just finished this year, was in partnership with the Thornton Creek Hatchery, and that was one of the most successful cultural heritage festivals that we've had. And we did a fundraising for the hatchery, and we're able to give them a check for just over $2,500. So that was a really awesome partnership. What's next is our AGM is coming up November 17th here at the UCC in Activities Room 1 and 2. Anybody who would like to attend, it would be great to have you there. I think that's about it just a really quick rundown on all the stuff that we actually did do this year. It was a very, very big year for us. I did have one thing I wanted to bring up. We had filled out the application for 2025 for grant and aid from the district. However, I did not include in there that we would like to request in kind the main hall for the Missoula Children's Theater for this year. The theater rotates between Tofino and Ucluelet so that all the kids have the opportunity to go whether they have transportation or not. And so we would like to request that in-kind donation for the use of the hall for the Missoula Children's Theater for this year. It is January 13th to 18th, and it's Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, great.
And I think that's about it for now.
So I think if you connect with Miss Fortune, she can probably help you fill out the paperwork that's required for the theater. Is that right? Yes. Yeah. We want to see Pinocchio for sure. We'll have the theater for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any questions from council to Kelly?
No questions, but I did realize that you have to get there pretty early to Katsumi and Mary's show. I think a lot of that art was spoken for within. Well, I got there an hour in, and most of it was already spoken for. So
Yeah.
About half
lesson
of
learned.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. But they did replace the pieces that did go. So
Oh,
the pieces that were sold were picked up and taken, and they brought new pieces in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's usually the way we work it, so that there's an opportunity for more sales for the artists. But we do have a new show opening up on Friday. The opening reception is from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Orange Door Gallery. And it's a collective of all the members, and there's a huge amount of really amazing art there.
That's this Friday?
Yes.
This Friday. Okay, great.
So thank you.
Great. Yeah, the
you.
Wish for Fish exhibit was really unique. I thought that concept of having the templates the same and just to see how each artist decorated or painted or did whatever they wanted, stained glass. There was so many interesting ways of dealing with the fish. It was great.
Yeah, it was amazing for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
We will now hear from the West Coast Community Resources Society. And I think Lori is perhaps zooming in.
Yes, I'm Zoom.
She is, and there she is.
Perfect.
Morning. Oh, I guess I don't get video. Is that right?
Oh, you're hard to hear.
That's okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry.
Perfect.
Initially wasn't allowing me access to video, so I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, I'm calling in from the traditional unceded territory of the Ucluelet First Nations and Nutchucks. Happy to be here. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Lori Hanna, and I'm the Executive Director of West Coast Community Resources. Our mission is to empower and support all members of our communities to move beyond systemic barriers, violence, and abuse through the provision of safe shelter, education, and counseling services. Our vision is communities on the West Coast feel a strong sense of belonging and live free from violence and discrimination in all its forms. And some of our value statements include intersectional feminist principles, trauma-informed practices, client-led, responding to people's basic needs, collaboration and partnership, and supporting individual and community resiliency. We have 13 programs and that are run by 11 full-time staff, 6 part-time staff, and 12 casuals, and that includes the transition house. It is the Welcome Bay. So I'm just going to give a couple of highlights. Over this last year, the team has supported 226 clients, and within that time frame, they've done over 2,886 hours of direct service to community members. Our geographic location involves Ucluelet, Tofino, and Ucluelet, Tokort, Ahousaht, Heshquit, can see clients in Tofino and Oakwood, Nessus, and Tystannis. So we have 4 staff that go up to Ahousaht every week as well. And then some of our So for instance, our community outreach program, we've done over 300 taxes this year. Our community outreach program, and we're grateful to have the in-kind donation of the main hall for our community lunch. So last year we served 200 people, and this year we have it planned for the 4th of December for our holiday luncheon. So we're looking forward to that. Already have musicians booked, and I'm looking forward to having lots of participation. And then we've also had, we did within another critical, 2 of our newest programs are sexual assault response. And Rebecca mentioned that this year in particular, we're going to be collaborating on a vital conversation around sexual assault on November 18th. This year, we also rolled out a program called third-party reporting. This is anonymous reporting to the police of sexual assault. So basically, there's been 3 staff trained within our society that can take anonymous reports. And then that gets passed on to the local RCMP detachments, and that just enables victims to have a little bit more protection and just confidence around that. It still allows the community to keep a record of repeat offenders. So yeah, during our vital conversation on November 18th, we'll be explaining third-party reporting more. And so it's open to everybody in the community to attend that. It's happening in Tofino at the community center from 10 to 3. Yeah, and then we also have our substance outreach program, and that was a program that wasn't going to be considered permanent, but we were able to increase their hours as well, and also to create that for more of a permanent program. A couple of other things we have coming up is we have 16 Days of Activism, which starts on November 25th. It goes to the 12th, and the team is putting together a bunch of in-person programs for the team for the community to participate in. And the other thing that's really huge that we did this year is we launched our social enterprise called UP Reuse It, and we're calling it URI for short. And we're so grateful. On August 23rd, we had our launch party, and really grateful that Mayor McEwen attended. And I don't know if you got given, but because I'm in Tofino today, I was asked my personnel and program manager to give everyone annual report. And then, Mary, you might have a little card on yours that says 30% discount. So I want to say thank you because you attended our party, and only our new board members and our board of directors received 30% discount this year. So that's really huge. And this is an initiative for the whole community. It goes into the planning that Jody Frank was talking about for the waste diversion plan, as well as just overall community morale and resiliency. It becomes a bit of a hub for people to come check out and see what the newest thing is. And there's a whole we have a whole list. The things that we accept so far at our UP Reuse It are outside clothing and accessories such as raincoats and winter gear, foot bags and footwear and bags and purses, bedding and towels, kitchenware and small appliances, some floor lamps, sporting equipment such as wetsuits, surfboard, skates, hockey gear, video game consoles, some computer equipment, camping gear, crafting supplies, some tools, and some electronics as space. But this has been, a really great resource for our clients and community members, and just for creating a sense of belonging for many of different participants in our program and for our whole team. So we're really thrilled about that. And that's located at the building right beside the Rainforest.
Raincoast Education.
Yeah, Raincoast Education Society and Murphy Street. We're right in that Bay Street location. So, and yeah, I did have a video from it that I might be too late to post. I don't know if it was found or connected or.
So Lori?
Yeah.
Lori, I did respond. You have full access, so you should be able to share your screen.
Oh, cool. Okay, let me just see how I can do that. All right. All right, thank you for that. I didn't get to look. All right. Oh, this is amazing. All right, this is from our launch party, so here goes. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Any questions for Mayor and Council?
Questions for Lori? No. No, I think we're good. And thank you so much for the 30% off card. That will go to good use. And I may actually have some stuff to donate to you as well.
Amazing. Thank you all so much.
Okay, thanks a lot. All right, the next community group is the Ucluelet and Area Child Care Society. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name's Mary Ruff. I'm co-chair of the society, and Natasha Bernard sends her regrets. Our daycare director is finally having her first vacation since coming on board in January, and so I'm doing my best here. I didn't want to bug her too much, so might not be as detailed as I would be, but. So what are we doing this week? Everyone's trying to survive daylight savings time, which is not easy with little ones. But I think we're getting through it. And the biggest news I have to share right now is that we were invited to apply for the $10 a day daycare program. Natasha actually just emailed me yesterday saying she has completed the first step, which is the initial expression of interest. So that was submitted this week. And then I guess once that's reviewed, if they were selected out of that, we'll get a much more thorough application to fill out with a lot of financial details. So that's really exciting news. Like, been a long time coming, and we're really excited for that opportunity for our community. So updates on our programs. We are, settling into the big shifts always happen in September when kids go to kindergarten. So I don't have exact numbers for programs and wait lists, but I'll do my best. So here at the Ucluelet Children's Centers, we've got the multi-age program with 8 kids. The group daycare, I think, has about 24. They're both operating at full capacity, fully staffed. I saw some really great pictures from their Halloween parties. I guess they did a parade. It was so cute. They all had a lot of fun. They had Halloween parties. And at Little Beans, we're still just sticking to 8 for right now. We haven't really been able to go up to the 12 that we're licensed for, just with staffing and still kind of figuring out the space too. We still are waiting on completion of the yard work in the back that we got the grant from the West Coast Sustainable Tourism Association to do. But I'm just any day, I think it'll be done. We have the materials. There have been some delays, but hopefully that'll get done soon. Also from that, I don't know if you guys have seen the kids strolling around town in their beautiful orange strollers that we funded from West Coast Sustainable Tourism Association fund as well. They're these just really cool little like wagons that's perfect for the little ones to get around, and they're everywhere. They're all around town. They're going to the aquarium, to the story time every week, and it's a great location. We're actually planning, I think, from for Midnight Madness to have a fundraiser there again like we did last year, because it's like, why not? We have to. It's just the perfect location. And then we this fall started back up our after school care program, which is running out of the UAC hall. I think there's 12 kids in there now. It is licensed for up to 24. But I think there are 12 there. What else? We're always looking for ECEs and ACEs with their infant toddler certificates. We will be applying again for grant and aid for the rent for our facility here at the Equalite Community Center, and do depend on that financially to keep our operations going and our prices affordable for families. And yeah, we the staff are going to have a professional development day on November 18th. So the daycare will be closed. We're trying to do regular professional development days, maybe quarterly, and so on. It seems like parents have been very supportive of that. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Any questions?
Great, thanks, Mary. Any questions for Mary about the daycare? Councillor Anderson?
What was the name of that organization, sorry, that funded the
West Coast Sustainable Tourism Association. It's they're mostly in it's mostly their presence is mostly in Tofino. It's mostly the businesses associated are all in Tofino. Yeah.
And November 18th is a day off.
Yeah, no daycare.
I should know
November
that.
18th. You probably hopefully got an email about it.
Daycare.
Yeah.
Selfish question there. I think that was it. Yeah, I have a really random question.
Okay.
With staffing, and I know this is going to be tough, how much of your staffing sort of difficulties that you face are due to housing, would you say? Like, do you ever have people that say they could come, but they just...
Well, I mean, it's kind of a hard question because, like, our ability to recruit is limited,
right?
Because of housing. So, like, we would like to be able to go to all ECE programs and talk to everybody that's graduating from an ECE program on Vancouver Island, to attract them to here, and I'm sure many people would, but we can't do that because we don't have anywhere for them to stay. So, like, we have had quite a few staff, most of our new staff actually have moved from Lower Mainland, and have been able to find housing with help of some parents, put some housing aside and that. But yeah, there have been a few times where people just couldn't find a place to live and they got a job. But it's just we're trying to avoid that from you know what I mean? So the way we would do a different type of recruitment if there were places for people to come and stay.
Right.
You know, we just don't want to. We don't do, that broader recruitment because we don't want to deal with the pain of hiring somebody and being excited and then being like, oh, sorry, not going to happen.
Right. Oh, cool. Thank you.
But I think it would definitely, if there was more housing options, it would definitely change our recruitment strategies. And we would be in a better position to grow and get closer. Oh, I didn't even tell you waitlist numbers.
I didn't want to put you on the spot. But.
Yeah, I know. I don't know the numbers exactly, but... I think we're at least at 35 or 40 right now because, again, September is the time when the kids move to kindergarten, so that's when we see movement. But all those kids are under 3 years old that are on our wait list right now because of literally Little Beans is 8 spots that are for kids under 3, and we just have so many more spots for kids over 3 just because of the licensing requirements. So yeah, again, the need is for more infant toddler spots and centers.
Is there anything on the horizon potentially? Like, so if you can only do 12 spots there and there's 8 right now, you would need another building then, or you need to expand somewhere
it would be another center. Yeah, we don't really have room to grow this spaces at this point. I mean, it'd be great if we could get up to the 12 licensed spot that we can, but we can't even right now with the staff that we have. So, so yes, that is expansion is needed, and we are going to start a process probably in January, which strategic planning process to help us figure out how we can possibly get to a place where we can come closer to meeting the needs of the community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary,
Thank you.
for your presentation. That's great. And hopefully everybody stops in on Midnight Madness and supports you. The next community group is the West Coast Multiplex Society. Welcome, Carrie.
Hello, Mayor and Council and fellow societies. I'd like to first acknowledge the territory of Hashquit, Hauset, Koloquit, Ukulosat, and Tokwat in the spirit of truth, healing, and reconciliation. I'm Carrie Ho, Treasurer of the West Coast Multiplex Society. We're a group of dedicated volunteers working to bring the collective dream of a regional multiplex facility to reality. Other Euclid board members include Kiki Lancelat, Clint Mack, Julia Tath, and Sean Mills. And countless more Euclusians have volunteered in different capacity in the society 28 plus years of existence. The big news is last month we submitted an application to the Federal Green and Inclusive Community Building Grant, which will fund a significant portion of the capital cost. We have received lots of community support and were able to include a total of 53 letters of support with our application. Thank you for District of Euclid for writing the letter of support, and actually a lot of societies present here have also written a letter, so thank you for all of you who have written the letter. Through this process, we have now committed to building a net energy zero facility. So even though there's currently no prototype for a rink and a net energy zero rink and pool facility in North America, our design team is confident to find a combination of different strategies to achieve this. Fun fact, before I joined the board, the previous board members actually looked at burning the garbage on the West Coast to fuel the facility, and it turns out that we didn't have enough garbage, and that was before all the compost and recycling, so that was interesting to know. So as a result, we adjusted our project cost to $70 million from $50 million. We hope that achieving net energy zero will also lower the annual operating costs as well. Now that the federal grant is submitted, we will launch into full fundraising mode to secure the rest of the capital funding. We are looking for provincial funding and private foundations, as well as specific funding for green initiatives. Our annual fundraising golf tournament happened on September 21st this year. The weather was nice and many community members came out to support. We raised over $44,000 this year and had lots of fun in the process. So thank you to Long Beach Golf Course and all the local businesses who supported us. Next year, the golf tournament will be September 20th, so mark your calendar. We also make connection with the new seniors advocate, Dan Levitt, who will be visiting the West Coast first week of March. Once we have organized all the logistic, we'll be sure to share the details. Earlier this year, we received a grant from CBT to continue working on integrating Nuu-chah-nulth language in the project and in the facility. With Colloquial Language Department. We're excited and honored to participate in the important language revitalization work. As we continue our fundraising effort and engagement efforts, we always welcome anyone who would like to volunteer or provide feedback to the project. So please feel free to reach out to any one of our board members. Thank you. Short update this time.
That's great. Thanks, Carrie. Any questions for Carrie? So it's been 28 years the society has been in existence.
Almost 30 years, so
Wow.
hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's been a long haul, that's for sure. Okay, I don't see any questions, so thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
The next community group is Thornton Creek Enhancement Society. Welcome, Dave.
Right on. Thanks, folks. And thanks for the invite to share a little bit of an update from Thornton Creek. And I would actually like to share a lot of love for a bunch of people. So first off, I'm going to thank Gord Johns for fighting for salmon. And subsequent to some of his work in Parliament, there was a lot of money dedicated to helping salmon. And the government had inspections of all the hatcheries in BC and the Yukon, and Thornton Creek Hatchery was one of 2 selected on Vancouver Island for infrastructure upgrades. So that's a segue to my summer. So we our aging facility built as a sort of temporary 3-year experiment in 1975. Received a couple $100,000 worth of upgrades this summer, with hopefully close to $600,000-700,000 more next year to expand our capacity to work on more systems and do more education. So that's a really exciting thing for Thornton, setting us up for the future to help salmon. It's a big thing. We're still running on a 36-year-old budget that is about a plumber's wage, and so super grateful for all the support. Now, one of the main reasons, Marilyn, you know why I'm here, because, and I don't know if it's Dwayne, I've never met you, but I've been told to stop sending thank you notes to the District of Ucluelet for their support through the mortgage tax. So I tipped my hat, brought my grandpa hat. Thank you very much to the district for supporting us through that mortgage tax. It's huge, and we've been able to leverage that with DFO to get a small, tiny increase. Because I'm saying, well, if our community supports us, why doesn't the government buck up? Anyways, so we've had some great partnerships this year. Kelly talked about the fantastic events that went down with our partnership with Praz and the Cultural Heritage Society as well. So it was great for us to kind of restart a lot of events that we did before the pandemic. So we had a great event here with the Historical Society about the history of Thornton. Great art show, as Kelly alluded to, that brought in over $2,500 for the hatchery. Big shout out to Kevin Courts, the harbor master, and Barb and team here for supporting us with the Bullhead Derby, sort of catch and release fun derby for kids. We had on the Outer Boat Basin, had a great free barbecue for kids and stuff like that. Also the rubber fish race we had at the hatchery that week. It was a busy week, lots of action. And our partners with Wild Safe BC, Bob Hansen and Caitlin Modan, came out and did some cool demos, bear spray demos. They couldn't hit me though, but anyways, yeah. Really neat partnership with Ucluelet First Nation this year, thanks to some funding from Clayoquot Biosphere Trust that they received. They're supporting some staff. So we've hired 2 staff from Ucluelet First Nation and supports a couple of other staff. So it allows us to expand our, what I've always wanted to do. In our work, everything happens at once. The fish all come in all these rivers. We work on 8 different stocks. We enumerate 11, swim and walk 11 creeks several times each fall. So we had 2 crews. And so far we've collected over 600,000 eggs this year, which is pretty good. And we still have 3 coho runs that we are just starting to swim rivers and enumerate for the government, and then we'll be enhancing Upper Toquat, Upper Kennedy, and Draw Creek coho. And pretty exciting. So I just, super grateful for all these partnerships, and especially the thing about Praz events. It really brought the hatchery. We're on the outside of, we're on the fringe there. And I don't have lunch in town or anything very often. And but it brought a lot of awareness to our society and our work. And we got a lot of new volunteers. Probably had 40 volunteers this fall. Pretty exciting. We're open to the public. We're closing this Friday. That rain a couple days ago sends all the last salmon to Valhalla in the Ucluelet Harbor. But over 3,000 visitors that came to the hatchery. We're free by donation, kind of try to be a rich educational experience. And a really great year for salmon. And I just thought I'd let you know that swimming by the Whiskey Dock, at least 5,000 chum spawned in Ucluelet Harbor streams. And that's a big deal. Really, we talk about harbor health. Salmon are this keystone species that drives That's something I should be doing.
Are you watching the election,
Yeah.
Councillor Anderson?
What's the update, man? Who's winning? I want a hockey game and an American election. I've been waiting for gunshots and stuff, but anyways, I think on that note, I just thank everybody again for supporting the hatchery. It's super awesome. Bringing our awareness, and even DFOs really, like I say, they've really been taking a shine on us. And last thing is they filmed our crew to be a DFO training exercise and how to do egg takes and snorkel surveys. They chose our crew, so lots of cool things happen in the hatchery. And again, societies that partner succeed. So I'm really grateful for all the support.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for the update. It's been a while since we've seen you, which is why I wanted to invite you to this one, and just see if the money we're giving you is helping, and I guess it is. Any questions for Dave from council? Did you have any issues with bears this year, bears and visitors?
Well, I'm the bear Nazi, and we feel that we have been really a big partner in the Human Wildlife Coexistence Group on the coast. We have a long history of bear watching the hatchery, and things had to change actually right when I took over managing 10 years ago, because there was an attack, because so it's a big part of our education, sensible wildlife viewing. And so it's been great, and I feel like the first couple of years were a real struggle. I used to go down at night and scream and pull my tire iron at people that snuck in and were trying to feed bears to get a picture this close. And, despite my wife's best wishes not to. And, so it's been great. People, no, but that's what it's a sign that education works. You get the word out. And I mean, let's face it, I don't know what it is this year, but I know Bob Hansen said this fall, no bears were killed on the West Coast last year. To me, that's a sign education works. Everybody's got the drill, because it only takes one ding-a-ling to, leave their garbage out or whatever, and it's game over for that animal. So I think that's a great metric, and it's a really testament to everybody on the West Coast that we're being cool for wildlife. So no, thanks for asking, and I think it's a real success.
Yeah, I think there was an issue initially with the clips on the sort and go.
Right.
Carts, but I think everybody's kind of got that figured out, that they need to be stronger so the bears don't learn how to pop them open.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for
Thanks
your
again, everybody.
report. Yeah. The next community group is Food Bank on the Edge. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Thank you, and everybody, audience. I brought one of my cohorts with me to fill in some details after I give a rundown of what our Christmas plans are for Food Bank on the Edge. So today was the first day I started collecting hamper registrations for the Christmas hamper. I've been in 2 Zoom meetings over the last 2 weeks with Tofino Food Initiatives, the Culinary Guild, West Coast Community Resources Society, because last year at Christmas time, things kind of fell apart at the last minute for not us, but for everyone towards Tofino, because when we do our Christmas hamper, it's just for Ucluelet and Hitatsu. So all those entities had to scramble at the last hour. Kuas was also part of that, out of Port Alberni, to try to get Christmas hampers to people who needed them on the West Coast or wanted them. So we're trying to circumvent that this year. So we've had some really good meetings. I've shared all of my information with the groups so that they can sort of use our system as a template. So all the groups are on board. The First Nation communities, TFN, Taloquiat, West Coast Community Resources Society, the Culinary Guild, basically all that I mentioned, Kuas, and the Tofino. I don't know what Erica's stuff is. Anyway, we're working on it. So for us this year, we have our reverse Advent calendar. I know that'll strike a nerve. So the co-op does Councillor Hoare has always been one of our champions of that project. So we're picking up because she's not here, we're going to be starting that with the co-op. And I've submitted our list to the office, and they're going to get that going. So counting back from our Christmas hamper day, from Stuff the Cruiser day, we'll come back. So sometime in the next week or two, we'll be starting the reverse advent calendar at the Ucluelet Co-op. The date of our Stuff the Cruiser event, which is in conjunction with the RCMP and the Ucluelet Co-op, is Saturday, December 7th. And that's where we set up at the co-op. We give shoppers a list of non-food items, personal care items, things we never buy at the food bank, but we need. So this is a big time for us to get an influx of personal care items, soaps, detergents, that kind of thing that clients really do use. Anything we all use every day, that kind of thing. The Christmas hamper this year is Saturday, December 21st. And we're grateful to the district for the in-kind use of the seaplane-based rec hall. So we'll be in there for 2 days and to distribute our Christmas hampers. So that's Christmas. So leading up to now, we have a few updates. Mako's going to talk about our building. So it's being delivered this week. Yeah. No, I'll say a few things and then I'll let Mako talk. So, so I've been in Ucluelet 14 years. 7 of those years have been working on this project. 6 years ago, so 7 years ago, we started our feasibility study. We needed to get on high ground. We needed a new building. 6 years ago, some of you will remember that I came before council. Mako was mayor, and I pointed out that a long time ago, his father, Mark Noel, was responsible for getting our building that we have today. And at that time, I informed the mayor at the time, Mako, that our project was in his DNA. And so the 3 reasons that we're here tonight at this point: 1 is the District of Ucluelet for a wonderful donation of land and money. 2 is our benefactor for the rest of the money, which is the Lake Families All One Fund. And number 3 is Mako. We would not be here if Mako hadn't stepped up 2 years ago when I threw in the towel. I was done. I didn't have the energy or the knowledge to continue. And Mako asked to come on our board and take over our building project. And those are the 3 reasons that we can tell you our building is going to be at Tugwell Field Friday, getting craned onto its foundation.
That
I'll let
deserves some
Mako tell the-
applause, I think.
I know, right? I know, right? You have a Kleenex?
I see why she brought me. Okay. Anyways, yeah, the building's a big thing for us. So, and I want to again extend our thank you to Mayor and Council. You know, this is a big thing. It's going to be coming here on Friday. So I think the rest is going to be really history. There's been a few headaches along the way for us, but I think for people that know me, I like things done quite quickly, and I think the process, we're here, so it doesn't really much matter what's happened. The building's going to be happening on Friday. We have a few curveballs coming up with our services, hey Dwayne, but in particular with BC Hydro, so we're getting a few curveballs on that. But I think on December the 7th, we're going to be doing some fundraising, not just with Stuff the Cruiser, but by that time we're going to actually have some true costs, what our BC Hydro installation is. It's looking a bit scary with some of the service hookups, but we're in a financial position that we're going to be able to take those costs, but we know that we'll be doing some aggressive fundraising in early December to recoup some of those costs. Outside of that, everything's going well. We have, we have a strong group, and I think the next headache will be if you guys want to take possession of our old building. You know, we're hoping that you guys will take that for $10 or something. We can make that happen very quickly for you, and we'll go from there.
We We could give it free of charge. I mean, what the heck? Also, I just have an update about our community fundraising. So one of the points I've tried to make over the last year is that we've had the fundraising going on to finish the project. So our building is paid for 100%, but now the fundraising is for getting our deck built, all the after market modifications and upgrades that we're going to have to do. And just this week, I updated our community fundraising scale at the co-op. We're up to $87,000. So the community, this really is the community's food bank, and I will be thrilled to invite everybody up to see it on Friday.
Wow, that's awesome.
Any
That's really
questions?
great news.
Any questions?
Any questions from council?
Jen?
Councillor Hoare?
You knew I was going to ask, Chris.
Yes.
I actually will be in town on Friday.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be in town for about a week. So let's connect. I have all the stuff from previous reverse Advent. So let's make sure that everybody has everything they need at the Coop.
Yep.
When I'm home. And I'm super excited, and I want to know about that BC Hydro bill because.
Okay. Awesome. I heard you were coming, Jen, so I'll be looking forward to seeing you.
Yay.
Do you know what time the building's arriving?
Okay, so I talked to the builder yesterday because I was real curious how that's right. He's in my phone. I was curious, how do they get the building has been in storage in Penticton all this time. So it leaves tomorrow and gets trucked to the coast. It gets barged to Nanaimo on Thursday, and they drive it over here overnight, Thursday into Friday. So it'll arrive sometime Friday morning, and Mako's got the crane. Did you do that? The crane's coming. Okay, crane's coming. And sometime Friday, I'm going to post on the community board in Facebook, come on down and watch what's happening.
That'll be a great post.
It
Yeah,
will be
look
great.
forward to
I know I'm
that.
trying to get Jeff Johnson's drone to go.
Good idea.
Get some aerial shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited. I don't know if you can tell,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's all good. So
That's awesome.
thank you. Any more questions?
And last year was my first time participating in the Christmas hampers at the Rec Hall, and I fell in love with that event, and I want to do it again.
Okay, you're on my list.
Put me on your list.
Thank you, Mayor.
That was going to be my question. Is if I've had people ask me before, if you wanted to volunteer, what's the best way to find out?
Well, you have to talk to me because it's a very coveted volunteer position, and we like to keep it pretty tight because everybody wants to be part of it. But I'll put you on the alternate list.
Cleanup crew.
The cleanup.
Whatever.
No, it's magical, really. We go in the day before, we set everything up. The district, the community center, we get all the tables, chair, everything set up for us, and we go in and everything gets delivered Thursday and Friday morning, or Saturday morning. It'll be Friday, Saturday. The birds come Saturday, and we start packing the hampers, and it all happens. And then we also still have the Angel Tree with Remax happening this year for all the families with children. They'll get angels put on the tree, and gifts for the children will come.
Yeah, and that's a great program as well.
It is. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your report. Thanks, Mako, for coming too. All right, it's going to be hard to follow that presentation. But the next community group is the Pacific Rim Whale Festival, and that would be Sarah on Zoom, I'm guessing.
Yes, Sarah is online, I believe. I am just promoting her. One moment.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, hello, and thank you for having me here. That was a pretty epic presentation, so I'll keep mine short and sweet. First of all, yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of our supporters for last year's Pacific Rim Well Festival. 2024 was another successful event. Just to give a quick recap, it was the 37th annual Wellfest. We hosted 29 events, which were all at full capacity. So it was a very busy week, but it was great to see so many people join us, also as well with a range of demographics. As a community, we entertained and educated over 3,000 guests on our count. And this was across 12 local venues between Ucluelet and Tofino. We also had 27 guest presenters join us. So yeah, it was a busy one, which was new for last year. We were very happy that we were able to fund one student place on the Raincoast Education Society Marine Mammals of the West Coast course. And we hosted our first Well ID workshop for 10 local youths in collaboration with Clayoquot Biosphere Trust and Wells of Clayoquot and Barkley. So yeah, that was really great for us to introduce new opportunities with the festival in research and education. And so going on to this year, we want to continue to do that. And we're working on some new workshops. More details will be released soon, but a masterclass in science and storytelling to open that up to the public and students to attend. We are also working on new partnerships with Parks Canada, Tourism Tofino and Ucluelet, and that's to bring more customers to local businesses. And I'm also working with Josh, who is the chair of the Vancouver Island Concert Band and Orchestra Festival and the first vice president of the BC Musical Educators Association. And this is to bring the Alberni District Secondary School band to Tofino for our parade. So yeah, there's lots of new partnerships we're working on, which is exciting for this year's festival. Another update is we do have the funds to hire a part-time assistant. So we're looking into getting that job description up together and seeing what the requirements are for that. So it would be really good to support somebody local who wants to work in the community and with nature. What other partnerships? Oh yeah, we're looking at more incentives for restaurants to participate in the Charter Chowdown and working on more media relationships for pre-festival marketing across BC and Vancouver Island. So yeah, just trying to support our community more who support us and see other ways in which we can bring more foot traffic to them. And yeah, the main, if anyone wants to join us, our AGM is also on November the 28th in the UCC at 6:30 p.m. Has anybody got any questions?
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions for Sarah about the Whale Festival? No, it's going to be another good one, I'm sure. And yeah, I'll see you at the AGM.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thanks. The next community group is Seaview Seniors Housing Society. Welcome, Patricia.
It's on. And good afternoon, I should say good evening now, Mayor and Council members and the rest of the society members who are present. Once again, we're grateful that the District of Ucluelet has allowed us to continue to use the funds that we weren't able to use during COVID, so we are carrying on. We're also grateful for the use of the main hall of the community center in January and February when we decided that we were just going to jump in and restart our luncheons and just stop waiting for VHA to let us open Forest Glen. So thank you for those two. And both of them were very successful. In the February one, you remember, we featured Isabel McKenzie, who was retiring seniors advocate, and she summarized her final report for us, and it was quite informative. And for this luncheon, we only needed to supply the coffee and the tea because her office covered the catering, so we paid for the January luncheon. And due to Wellfest, we didn't have one in March, but in April, we decided to go back to Forest Glen not because we didn't like the community center. It was quite a good venue for our luncheons, but we decided to go back to Forest Glen because originally our board had decided when they first started the luncheons in cooperation with West Coast Community Resources in 2019, the idea behind the luncheons was to combat social isolation among our seniors, and we felt that we didn't want the seniors of Forest Glen to be isolated from the community, and we wanted the community to interact with them, and we also wanted the seniors of the community to have another venue for getting together, and so that was our reason for going back to Forest Glen, because we wanted to go back to our original goal of involving all of our seniors together and getting them to interact as much as possible. And and also we have a beautiful big common room in Forest Glen that we felt was not necessarily being used to its best advantage. And even though there were plenty of good reasons to continue using here, we decided that we'd be best served back there. And what else we have done? Let's see, okay, back to this page. So we had luncheons in April, May, and June in Forest Glen, and then we took a summer break, and then in September we went back, and we've had luncheons in September and October at Forest Glen. So far, we've had volunteer chefs, except that, we could call Black Rock's chef our volunteer chef for October, because they provided a beautiful big pot of soup for us then. And we've also been supported by a really devoted group of volunteers that are always there for us whenever we need them. So they have helped keep us going. We've also been exploring other ways to use our common room for the benefit of all the seniors of Vukulit. In September, we invited the RCMP to give a workshop on how to avoid internet fraud. And then in October, Hospice came and gave a workshop on advanced care planning. And we've also planning for some additional workshops in January and on. We've also provided space for a foot care clinic that's open to all seniors. The lady comes and sets up in our laundry room, and seniors can book an appointment with her. And then we also, in November, invited a dental hygienist to park her mobile van in our parking lot and provide dental services, just cleaning, for local seniors. I should have numbered my pages. And to keep our seniors of Vukulit and the area informed, our administrator, Alexandra Moore, who's here, who's our workhorse, puts out a monthly and sometimes more frequently newsletter in which she shares information for seniors that are on our mailing list for anything that might be of interest to them. The foot care clinics, the luncheons, and anything else that's going on in the community that might be of interest to them. And we are trying to develop our list even further, our mailing list, and any senior that wants to be on our list and be kept involved is welcome to give their information to Alexandra. And so we're planning a variety of workshops in the coming year, and we will continue our monthly luncheons. We anticipate that we still have enough funding left over that we won't have to ask you for funding again. So we will spend what we have. We have been able to do it quite economically because our chefs have volunteered their time, and we have had donations from some from the co-op, and then we also we buy we use we use our money the money you've given us to purchase the food that the chefs then use. And we see the common areas of Forest Glen as a potential resource for many more programs that could benefit all the seniors of the area. So anyway, and if anyone in the community has any activities that they think that all seniors would benefit from, then our common area is an excellent place that we could use for that. And we appreciate any support the district can offer. And we would also urge you to use your voice in any way to advocate for seniors in any places you've got your fingers and your voices. Our AGM will be on November the 10th at Forest Glen at 1 o'clock, and anyone is welcome to attend. So, thank you.
Great, thank you, Patricia. Any questions for Patricia? Councillor Anderson?
I remember that that luncheon that Isabel came to, the seniors advocate, and I guess so she retired.
Yes.
And there's a new fellow. I think it's Dan Levitt. Someone was just talking about her earlier. Does he have any plan to come out here and do a talk at all at one of these?
We haven't. Someone mentioned that he was coming. Who? In March. So yes, certainly we hope that if he is here, then we would like to plan around him as well.
Yeah, I tried to corner him at the UBCM, but he was fast.
Pardon?
I tried to corner him at the UBCM at a conference. I saw him.
Oh, yes.
And I said I wanted to talk to him, but he evaded me. He
Oh.
slipped out. But yeah. So,
Maybe you didn't look like a senior.
Yeah.
But yes, so we would like to meet with him, yes.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have him come in and do a presentation as well. That'd
Yes.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have contact information for him?
I have his office contact because I guess it's still the same as Isabel's.
Isabel's,
and
right.
I have sent him. I sent him a email shortly after he came into the office, outlining some of the concerns we have, and he got back with a polite kind of reply, and said those are some of the things he would be looking at over the next year or so. So,
Right.
anyway.
Great. Well, it sounds like Carrie has contact information for him. So if you need to
Coming directly, yes. Thank you.
to talk to Carrie, that will put you two together.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for your report.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next community group is Pacific Rim Rotary. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us tonight. We've had a pretty fun year so far. We had a soft opening of the disc golf course in July, which was very well attended and continues to grow. There's a community league night going on now, and more people playing all the time. If anyone hasn't played yet, you can get out there and have a round. It's free once you get your discs, and discs are for sale at Yuki Brewery, West Coast Connect, and Greywell Deli. So all the proceeds from that go to support the course. And Christmas is coming too. So if anyone's looking for a gift idea. We did our first partnership with Tough City Radio at the Sandcastle competition. That was on September 1st, I want to say, and what a ton of fun that is. It grew a lot. It's the second annual one, and the potential is there. I grew up in Parksville, where their Sandcastle competition started, and if anyone's been over there, it's quite a festival now. So Cam's kind of initiated that, and watching that grow in the future will be fun. But there was 25 entries, I want to say. And a lot of creativeness out there. It was a lot of fun. Encourage everyone to go if they didn't get there this year. Parking is the problem. That's busy. We were at the Dustin Riley Soapbox Derby, which is always such an amazing event. We did some barbecues on the hot dogs. I want to say 200 plus this year, and we'll need more for next year because there was still a bit of a lineup there at the end. So Marilyn, thanks for helping out with that. That was great. And yeah, it's always that's probably one of my favorite events, except for maybe Halloween Howl, which was pretty good too. We had Rod's Plumbing set up a haunted house in the courtyard out here this year, and it just gave that spooky effect for the kids, which gave them a little bit more of a Halloween presence. The fire department put on a bonfire that was just spectacular across the way. We had Brandon from Cedar and Salt out there and grilling hot dogs for donations towards the fire department. I want to say it was $400 that was raised to go towards the association there. Maybe it's not the association, maybe it's actually the firefighters. Rick corrected me on that last time, and if he was here, he'd help me out again. And then we've got the Chow Down on our list, so we'll be discussing that on our board meeting this Thursday. And that's always a sellout as well. I think we had 300 last year, and that's our capacity at this time. We're hoping to get a few more restaurants on board, and like Sarah was just talking about, there's some extra exposure and some ideas to encourage the restaurants to come out, because it is expensive to make seafood chowder. As we all know, that's not cheap. So yeah, hopefully that all pans out and we can get a few more restaurants in there this year and help create that Whale Fest, which is always such a fun event. That's what we've been doing on the local level, and then there's always the international side of Rotary, where worldwide we help with building houses for people that need them, creating fresh water, eradicating disease. The list goes on and on. It's a really great organization. The challenges of Rotary now, not only here but worldwide, are growing numbers. Rotary's sat pretty still for a long time, if not starting to slowly decline. It's a demographic of a population that's just, I don't know, we're just not growing. So that's our challenge. We're going to really put a push on our memberships this year and see if we can get the club going, because as we all know, all the societies here, it's people, right? You need people power, and we all all our events and everything else, there's only so many that we can get out here. So yeah, that's probably our biggest challenge right now. But other than that, yeah, I hope everyone's getting a chance to play disc golf and having some fun. And thank you, District, for the land use grant. We're so appreciative, and we're gonna throw in a few more things this winter, and next summer have a big grand kickoff, because all our signage and everything else is up now. So yeah, super exciting. And that's all I have to report.
Great, thanks, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for Jeff? No, I do have my disc. I bought it for myself for Christmas last year. I just have to get out and try it.
Great. League nights are Sunday, and there's a new community page on it. So first timers are welcome out there, and there's a bunch of instructions, and there's an ace pot. I think the ace pot has grown up to close to $200 now. So maybe I get lucky and get a hole in one and win some money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Incentive.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your report. The next community group is Ucluelet and Area Historical Society. Welcome, Claudia.
I could give a quick rundown on what we've done, but it's always the same. We have the same collections to look after. We give the same 3 presentations a year. Oh, the different subjects. We have the boat tours again, and we have exhibits. There's a little bit of change, especially in the exhibits. We now have a place for long-term exhibits in the tourism office, and we've started making contacts with business to get large cases of, single exhibit in their place of business with a connection to their business. We've just done the Japanese Canadian settlers exhibit in the Asian restaurant Saki Sushi. And it was to stay there a month, but they were so pleased with it when we went to pick it up to move it somewhere else where they were waiting for it. They said, "Can you not let us hold? This is the young brother who's just arrived from Korea of the owner. He's so sweet. He's trying to communicate, and he says, hold, stay. So we figured it out. He said, you know, they like it, and they find it useful in their area where the people come in to get their, you know, in that type of restaurant, they write everything out before they sit down, and you know, while one's writing, another's looking at this exhibit. We're going to be able to put several of the small permanent exhibits we have in the tourism office. And at this time of year, it will just be the odd day that it's open, but in the summer when they have a full-time or half-time employee, it'll be available for people coming in for information all day, or every day. Our presentations went particularly well this year. At least the one on the Graveyard of the Pacific, it was being spoken of so well around town, the national park people heard about it, called to ask if we could have it again, and it was given at their theater at Greenpoint, is it? And it went over so well there that they've asked for them to come back with the same one next year. One problem they ran into there was it's very much a family audience, and that includes little kids, and they're not going to sit there for an hour while there's people talking, or an hour and a half. So the fellow who does these for us said he already has a bunch of information meant for children to, you know, activities, little books with coloring and answer questions on maritime things, and he calls it pirate things, you know. So he says he's going to develop that further, and they can keep their audiences longer. So they may also, because they need so many people there, we may be able to give them some other kind of exhibit next year too. So we're gradually finding ways to get out to the public without needing a building. The boat tours, we found lots of mistakes we had made, but overall they were very much appreciated by the people who had them, and we have learned from those mistakes, and we know what we need to do differently next year. Also, we had help from the boat company, Subtitle Adventures, and at the end of the season, they said they were looking forward to partnering with us again next year. So that will make things so much easier for us because we don't have actual staff. They do the booking, and it's all an automatic thing, and so that's going to be much easier. And they also gave us advice on that kind of work because, you know, we're not in the tourism business, but I guess we are now. Exhibits, another thing. Oh yeah, we have been asked for longer exhibits from the ANAF with more things out, not just photo displays. We're going to take a case exhibit out. We're bringing books out because they asked for that, having seen how people are going around during their buffet on Remembrance Day. They're all going, come on over here and see this, and she was very impressed, this is Bronwyn, with how interested people were. And they're asking questions, so she wants volunteers there to sit at tables on the stage with people and answer their questions. So we have some interesting people of World War II to showcase this year. Personal stories. I think people will find it really interesting. So that's, the collections and cataloging. We have fallen very far behind in our cataloging. There's no point in trying to do it on paper, which people stopped doing in the previous century, but it's an extremely expensive thing. So what we feel is the only way to switch to the very expensive software that you need to subscribe to every year is to wait until we are considered a big enough organization that the government organizations that hand out funds to museums will consider us eligible to get one of these funding grants that funding transfer from paper and input. You can get these grants that would last for a year or so of staff to create your catalog, and at the same time teach your people and also members of the society so that they can carry it on once it's all in there. But I feel that because we're changing our way of doing things so much, it shouldn't be that long before, I figure another 2 years before we'll be able to get funding like that and actually be able to tell on our website how many thousand pieces of this and that we have, because we haven't a clue. I did measure the shelf length once. You're supposed to know how many meters of archival information. Pretty hard to tell when it's all in little different size shelves. And also, we'd just like to say thank you to the staff of the district for allowing us access during this difficult time, that we are able to carry on our activities of November, which we could not have done without being allowed in while there's construction going on to continue with our plans.
Great, Claudia. Let's see if anybody has any questions for you. Where are your collections kept at the moment?
In the basement.
Of the district office?
Mm-hmm.
And
Good place, right now.
they were unaffected by the flood, I've been told.
We lost a lot of oddments, supplies, support materials, and frankly, I was glad some of them went because they were never going to be used. But very little of value was lost. No historical information was impacted.
Oh, good.
There was a couple of wet feet on very large, tough things, like I think there was just little wet toes. 2 days later, it was dry.
Okay, great.
Wonderful work cleaning it up. And we had a lot of help from what they call the materials handler. Really careful with it. I was really concerned at first because, this crew comes in and we're going to do this and that, and they look tough and rough. But then when the material handler says, don't do that, we're moving this first, and boxes everything up that has to be moved and that's unsafe. It was really beautifully done. So.
Oh, good.
And we were able to move out some of our large artifacts that were getting in the way right away to tourism. Is there any other questions?
Any questions from council? No. Okay, thank you for your report. And I'm so glad nothing was damaged. And next up is an update from the Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue Station 38. Welcome, Dave.
Yeah, good evening. RCM SAR is one of 5 regional organizations across Canada. The organization itself is the Canadian Coast Guard Auxiliary. Several years back, for various reasons, the British Columbia branch was renamed RCM SAR. There's sometimes confusion between what we are and of course we are exactly that, Coast Guard Auxiliary. Our function is primarily to assist the full-time Coast Guard. We also now have we have a mutual understanding with EMBC so that we can be tasked now either by JRCC, which is the Joint Rescue Center out of Victoria, or we can also be tasked by EMBC, which means that if the last 2 calls from EMBC were from ambulance, they needed assistance with moving people in the area via water, and so they called us on that. Locally, we have, the structure is that we have a charitable organization, which is a society, and then we have the operational side, so that we, the the charitable organization, of course, they look after the paperwork and basically fundraising, etc. And on the matter of fundraising, we have three primary sources of revenue. We get paid by the government specifically for missions that we go on. So if we have an incident and we go out and we deal with someone on the water, we submit an incident report and we get paid. It comes out to about $180 an hour. For training, if we're doing training, we get the same sort of situation, but that's at half that rate. And talking about fundraising, thank you for the district, because without the district support, we'd be in big caca. The other funds we get are obviously the district, and then we can apply to BC Gaming, the lottery association, the lotteries. That is on a yearly basis. We have to justify exactly what we're applying what we want the funds for, and we also have to we have to account for how we spent the money. In other words, we can't apply for X number of dollars for this and then go spend it over here on something else. It has to be actually what we're. So far, we're doing okay. Since the district came aboard and is helping us out, we are doing okay. For a while there, we were personally funding some of it out of pocket. The situation was that tight. So, again, thank you very much. We run on average about 15 to 20 calls a year. They're all over the map. There's been a huge change lately. The last couple of years in particular, the number of incidents on with recreational boaters has decreased substantially, and I think that's primarily because of the increase and availability of navigational equipment that basically takes you from point A to point B without having to know anything. And so we get a whole lot less calls for lost souls and people in trouble that way. Our primarily calls are with fuel-related incidents, and it's hey, you gotta fill up before you go, guy. So that is the primary one. Our other boat calls lately have been primarily commercial fish boats, and we've had a couple of interesting ones. The last one was about 2 weeks ago, and that was 2 o'clock in the morning, 20 miles offshore, with a 48-foot fully loaded fish boat that wasn't going anywhere. So that was a wonderful way to spend the evening. One of the major calls prior to that was again commercial fish boat, and again fully laden. It was apparently 60,000 pounds. And we pulled them off the rocks at the Green Can and got them in and docked them. So that's sort of what we do. The downside, we've done a number of body recoveries the last 2-3 years as well, and they're a little harder on everyone. To back that up with the individuals, we have a CIS, some critical incident stress management situation, so that after any sort of a call like that, it used to be the calls would come from Coast Guard and, hey, are you guys all okay? And now we have within the RCMSAR itself created a unit, a program, whatever, so that that's all dealt with in-house. Think that, what we have, of course, the boathouse down at the Outer Boat Basin, and thank you very much again, the district doesn't charge us moorage there, and we have it's a 738. It's approximately a 30-foot rigid hull inflatable. There are 4 actual seats on it, which is and three different stations, 3 different nav stations, and we can cruise at about 40 knots, so we can get to where we're going in a big hurry. Given the right sea conditions, of course. So, other than that, questions?
You were talking to me a little bit about purchasing a drone for specific
yes.
use.
Yeah. I've initially going back probably a year, there was an incident where the North Shore found someone in the evening, poor visibility. They couldn't fly a helicopter because of visibility, and they actually found this person using a drone. Since then, there are a couple of other search and rescue organizations that have got drones aboard. The key here is the FLIR, or an infrared camera, and the ability to see that way. We, as yet, haven't decided on exactly what we're going to do, and we're also the requirements for licensing, for operating licensing, it varies depending on the type of drone. We're pretty well, to provide what we need, we're going to end up with a somewhat larger, what do we call it? It's not a vehicle, it's not a vessel, but basically an aircraft. And again, market costs, we're looking now, the prices have come down, we're probably $5,000-6,000 will get us what we need. But, and then the operating, you have to be trained and examined. It's basically, it's the same, seems like it's, at this point, the indication it's a one-day course, but we will have to have our people trained on doing that. What it would do, what we foresee, is that we get a call out, we're given data, lat and long. We could launch the drone would fly to that area, and we'd be broadcasting back pictures to us in the boat as we're getting there. It gives us a little more time and the ability to assess the situation before we're actually there. The other is what we do probably more so than anything else is shoreline searches. So with a drone like that, we could program in a grid and the drone would fly it. And that would make a huge difference. The last two incidents, we found the individuals from the water, and WESAR was coming behind, but we had to direct WESAR to where they were. And it would make life a whole lot more efficient, it'd be a whole lot better if we could just launch the drone, and it would cover a lot more area than we could ever cover.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then just the other thing that you told me about was the state-of-the-art radio equipment that you have.
Oh, yeah, well, that's actually goes into another. That is the district emergency management program, and we have a fairly large room set up at the fire hall to start with. That where we have HF radio and we have portable HF. We also have VHF, so that our radio comms are pretty well state-of-the-art at this point. Rogers, in putting up this new tower at the landfill, we had a brief discussion with them. They have committed to $15,000 of radio equipment that they will purchase and install on this cell tower once it's up, and that will just completely enhance our radio comms beyond that. So I'm pretty excited about that, but of course we haven't got power to that tower yet, so that's still a year or so down the road. But that will give us the ability with VHF to talk to a number of stations outside of the area. Right now with VHF, I don't know if you know what VHF is. Very high frequency. It's basically what you use for marine radios, and it's primarily line of sight, so you have to use repeaters. With this going in at the landfill, that'll give us the ability to relay out of the area and again greatly enhance our radio communication ability.
Great, that's good news. And Rogers has committed to that.
Have it in writing.
Have it in writing. Okay, that's good. That's good. Any questions for Dave from council? No, looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Thanks for coming. And I believe we have the Junior Rangers here. Bernie, welcome. Glad you could make it. I know it was a iffy situation for you today. Well, we're glad you're here.
So I'm here to represent the Canadian Junior Rangers. We are a youth group in Ucluelet. It is.
Can you make sure you're talking into the mic, please?
Sorry. So we are a youth group that's in Ucluelet. It's for youth between the ages of 12 and 18. Last year, I was down to having 6 youth, and 4 of them aged out of the program, and I was a bit of a panic this year. I now have 11 youth, so I'm very happy.
Nice, good work.
Last fall, we went out to Thornton Hatchery. The kids just loved going there. They went there again in the spring, but the group that I have this year, I wouldn't have brought. Oh, no? They're a little too hyper. Maybe next year. So with having all new youth, we're still learning our grounds, I guess you could call it. We've done the food hampers last Christmas with the food bank. We did Canada Day. We're doing Remembrance Day. This weekend, we're going to Morpheus Island, and we're doing No Stone Left Alone. And the ANAF has Bronwyn coming as a representative with us for the veterans. I don't really have much else to say, other than thank you for the use of the UAC Hall.
That's where you meet.
Yes, that's where we meet. We meet every Monday, 7 till 8:30. And if it wasn't for the use of the UAC Hall, the program wouldn't be able to exist.
Right, that's good information. And we missed the Junior Rangers in the Yuki Days parade this year.
They're normally at camp.
Oh, that's what happened. They were at camp.
So we do have, there's 3 different camps that they get to go to in the summer. They're only a short period of time. So normally July and August we don't meet, and it's just concentrated on the few youth that get to go to camp. They go, and it's just, we're pretty busy over the summer with life in Ucluelet as well.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But we do get them out for Canada Day.
Yes, for sure. I was there. That's great. All right. Well, thank you. Any questions for Bernie from council? Councillor Anderson?
No, I was just gonna thank you for helping us hand out medals at the Edge to Edge Marathon.
You're welcome.
You stuck it out there in the rain, and you were there longer than I was.
That's the other hat.
Yeah. And Bernie's great at keeping spectators out of the finish line zone, which is really crucial, actually. So thanks for that. Thank you for your report. Thanks for coming. So that ends our list, but are there any other representatives from local community groups present that did not make the agenda and would like to present an update? I think we've heard from everybody, actually. Ms. Owen, are there any representatives on Zoom or telephone?
It looks like we've heard from everyone on Zoom as well.
Okay. And are there any notices of motion? Nope. All right, question period. This is an opportunity for the public to ask questions about matters within council's jurisdiction. Representations about matters that have been the subject of a public hearing are not permitted at this time. Are there any questions from the audience? No, everybody wants to get home and turn the TV on to watch the U.S. presidential election. Are there any questions by Zoom or telephone from the public?
If anyone on Zoom wishes to speak, please raise your hand via telephone, *9. No hands are raised at this time.
All right, then I will move to adjourn the November 5th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting at 6:40. Can I have a seconder?
I will second that.
All right, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Thanks for coming, everybody. It's always great to hear from the nonprofit groups. And thanks, Councillor Hoare, for zooming in. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Thank you.